Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. In this section you will learn about the living organisms, characteristics and habitats. Children, different regions in the world have various types of living creatures called as organisms. An organism is simply defined as any living thing, ranging from microscopic bacteria to a large elephant and everything in between. So, different types of plants and animals are found in different areas. Examples like we can find the camel and cactus plant in desert areas. Beaches show a coconut trees and crabs, fishes and other marine animals inhabited in the sea. Children, we see many things around us which can be grouped into two groups based on their characteristics. These are called as living and non-living things. For example, men, dogs, goats, cats, ants, plants and trees, etc. are some of the living things. Car, plastic goods, stones, doors, etc. are some of the non-living things. Children, the presence of some specific features and certain habits which allow an organism to live in its habit is called as adaptation. Organisms show adaptations according to their habitat. Now, let us see what is habitat. Habitat. The surrounding in which a living being lives is called its habitat. For example, the pond is the habitat for frog. Our home is our habitat. A tree is the habitat for a squirrel. Therefore, the habitats mainly divided into two groups. They are terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. Now, let us discuss about terrestrial and aquatic habitat. The habitat on the land is called as terrestrial habitat. The terrestrial habitat can be further categorized into forest, grassland, coastal, mountain and desert habitats. Now, let us see the definition of aquatic habitat. The habitat in water is called as aquatic habitat. The aquatic habitat further can be categorized into oceans, rivers, lakes, ponds, and swamps. Components of these habitats again comes under two categories. There are two main components of these habitats and these are called as biotic and abiotic. Biotic components. The living beings make the biotic components of the habitat. Plants and animals are the examples of biotic components. Abiotic components. The non-living things makes the abiotic components of a habitat such as soil, air, water, temperature. These all comes under the abiotic components. A abiotic component provide necessary raw material and conditions for the living beings to survive. For example, most of the plants need soil for anchorage. More soil also provide them with water and necessary minerals. Most of the terrestrial animals live on soil. Similarly, water and air are the necessary for living beings to survive. Now, let us discuss in detail about terrestrial habitats and types of terrestrial habitat. Children, the terrestrial habitat means already we discussed that it refers to land where all the plants and animals survive. Animals and plants which live on land are called as terrestrial animals and terrestrial plants. And this terrestrial habitat further classified into four groups, mainly forest habitat, grassland habitat, desert habitat, mountain habitat and polar region habitat. Let us discuss about grassland habitat. Grasslands. Many animals live in the grasslands and in forest. The climate is warm and food is available in good amount of these habitats. But because of heavy population, the competition for food and other resources is tough in the grassland and forest habitats. Let us take the examples of some animals to understand the adaptation for grassland habitats. Lion. A lion is a ferocious hunter. It is strong because it is having a muscular body. The sharp claws of lion help them in killing a prey. These claws retract inside when they are running, and thus a lion can walk without making a noise. The color of the lion is pale yellow, which mixes with the color of dry grass and rocks. Thus, the body color of lion helps it in hiding from its prey. Tiger. A tiger is a good hunter as a lion. The black stripes on the body of tiger look like grasses to its prey. Deer. A deer is fastest runner. It can sprint very fast to save itself from a predator. A deer has a very good hearing ability, which helps it in hearing the steps of an approaching predator. The eyes of the deer are on the side of its head. The position of the deer eyes helps it in seeing a predator coming from behind. Now, let us discuss about desert habitats. Some examples of desert habitat living beings in the desert are as follows. Let us discuss about adaptation in camel. Camels are synonymous with a hot desert. A camel shows many adaptations which help it to live in the hottest desert. The paddy feet of camel help it in easily walking on the sand. A camel has long eyelashes which prevent the sand from getting into its eyes. A camel can drink lots of water at one go and can go on for many days without drinking the water. The camel produces dry dung and a very little urine in order to conserve water. Small creatures living in desert have hard scales on the body which help in preventing the loss of water due to the heat. Animals like rats and snakes stays in burrows deep in the sand to stay away from the intensive heat during the daytime. These creatures usually hide in the shadow during the daytime and come out during the night time. Let us discuss about adaptation in desert plants. Desert plants have a very deep roots so that they can access water from the great depths. Leaves of some desert plants are modified into spine-like structures. This helps in preventing water loss by way of transpiration. Stems of desert plants are modified into leaf-like structures. Such stems are spongy and they have a coating of wax over them. The wax coating prevents evaporation and spongy inside helps in storing lot of water. Now, let us discuss about forest habitat. Forest and woody lands are places where there are mostly trees. There are many different kinds of forest in different climates, but trees are one thing they have in common. Forests provide everything that the creature who live there need: food, water and shelter. Forest can be hot or cold with different kinds of trees in different climates around the world. There are deciduous forest, coniferous forest and rainforest. Children, let us discuss about the raccoons. Raccoons lives in forest among other places. Raccoons often make their dens in trees. They sleep during the daytime and move around at night. They eat almost anything including plants, bugs and small animals. Babies are born in the spring season. After few months they begin going out at the night with their mothers. She teaches them how to feed themselves and stay safe. They remain with her for many months. Raccoons are an important part of the forest habitat. Now let us discuss about habitat in mountain regions. Children, these habitats are normally very cold or windy. In some areas, snowfall may take place in winter season. There is a large variety of plants and animals living in these mountain regions. If you live in a mountain region or if you have visited any time, you may have seen a large number of trees which are in cone shaped. How these trees are adapted to these conditions prevailing in their habitat, let us discuss. These trees are normally looks like in cone shaped and they are having sloping branches. The leaves of these trees are look like needle and this helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. They could be trees with shapes very different from these that they are also present on mountain regions. Animals living in the mountain regions are also adapted to the conditions there. They have thick skin or fur to protect them from the cold. For example, yaks have long hair to keep them warm. Snow leopard has a thick fur on its body, including feet and toes. This protects its feet from the cold when it walks on the snow. The mountain goats have strong hooves for running up the rocky slopes of the mountain. As we grow up in the mountain regions, the surroundings change and we see different kinds of adaptations at different heights. Now, let us discuss about polar habitat. Polar habitats are located at very top and very bottom of the earth. They are cloud, windy and have a lot of snow and ice. It's too cold for trees to grow, but there are some trees such as moss and lichen in tundra areas. Most are carnivorous due to the lack of plants and they tend to live in snow caves or holes for the shelter. The animals are mostly carnivorous and they have thick fur to survive in the cold. Some blend in ice and some may hibernate in the coldest months like bear. Examples of these habitat animals are polar bears, penguins, etc. Children, now let us discuss about rainforest habitat. This habitat receives a lot of rain and hence it rich in animal life. Mammals, amphibians, reptiles and all sorts of animals are found here. The climate is hot and humid and animals have to learn to adapt to survive in these areas. Today in this section we are going to discuss about aquatic habitats. Aquatic habitat means a habitat with water. It includes areas that are permanently covered by water and surrounding areas. Examples of these habitats are rivers, oceans, etc. Aquatic habitat comprises of oceans and seas and both this habitat consists of salt water. These habitats are the home of a wide variety of creatures like the most part of the fish population is found here in this habitat. Marine mammals like whales migrate to long distance in order to cope up with the temperature changes. The other type of fishes like bony fish, cartilage fish, sharks and rays can be also found in this habitat. Let us discuss about ocean habitat. Children, in this habitat, plants and animals are surrounded by a saline means salty water. Most of them used the air dissolved in water. All fishes have a streamlined shaped body. This helps them to move inside the water. They have a slippery scales on the bodies which protect them and help in easy movement through the water. They have a flat fins and tails and that help them to change directions and keep their body balanced in water. In fishes, gills are present and it helps them to use oxygen which is dissolved in water. Squids and octopus do not have a streamlined shaped body, but they stay deeper near the seabed and catches any prey that moves towards them. However, when they move in water, they make their body shapes in streamlined form. Dolphins and whales do not have gills, but they breathe air through the nostrils or blowholes located on the surface of their heads. This allows them to breathe in air when they swim near the surface of the water. They can stay inside the water for a long time without breathing. Now, let us discuss about freshwater habitat. Children, rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. comprise the freshwater habitats. 3% of world world's water is accounted as fresh water, but still a wide variety of species are found here, like snails, worms, mollusks, etc., are the common organisms in this habitat. Children, now let us discuss about aquatic plants. Some of the aquatic plants can float on water, and some plants have their roots fixed in the soil below the water, while some are completely submerged in water like hydrilla. And this type of plants, they have narrow ribbon like leaves, and this can be bent in flowing water. Let us discuss about the floating plants. Some water plants float on the surface of the water like water lily and lotus. Roots of these plants are reduced in size since their main function is to hold the plant in place. The leaves of floating plants are large and flat with waxy coating on them. The leaves of such plants are spongy as well with a lot of air inside. This helps the leaves in floating on the water. They have stomata on the upper surface which are exposed to the air. The stems of aquatic plants are long, hollow and light so that this can bend in along with the water movements. We can see in water lily, etc. The stems grow up to the surface of the water while the leaves and flowers float on the surface of the water. Stems have air spaces to enable the plant to float. Frogs are adapted to live both in land and water, so they have a strong back and legs and webbed feet which allow them to swim in water. Let us discuss about coastal habitat. This type of habitat is seen in rocky and sandy areas. This type of habitat provides home for both land animals and sea animals. The changing tides are one of the most unique features of the coastal habitat, as the habitat changes from open area to underwater on an irregular basis. Some animals that live in the sea will visit land for egg laying. Some coastal animals can survive underwater or out of the water. Many fishes, reptiles and vertebrates live their life along the coast. Birds are numerous on the coast because there is a reliable source of food here. The special type of trees called as mangroves which are found in this habitat. The coastal plants like seaweed attach to the rocks firmly so that they are not swept by the waves. Children, an organism is simply defined as any living thing ranging from microscopic bacteria to a large elephant and everything in between. Different types of plants and animals are found in different areas. Like in desert we can find as animals like camel, snake, rat, etc. Plants like cacti. Beaches we can find trees of coconut and animals like crabs. Fishes and other marine animals are inhabited the sea. Now, let us discuss the characteristics of living organisms. Children, plants are living things, but they do not appear to move like a dog or a pigeon. On the other hand, a car or a bus can move, yet we consider them as non-living things. Yes? So, there are certain characteristics that differentiate living things from non-living things. Let us see what are there. Living things are made up of cells. Living things can obtain and use energy. Living things can grow and develop. Living things can reproduce. Living things can adapt to their environment. Living things can respond to the environment or stimuli. Let's explore the important characteristics of living organisms one by one. Nutrition. The process by which animal obtain food and utilize it for all the activities is called as nutrition. Every organism requires nutrition for obtaining energy. Growth. All living organisms grow and exhibit growth in different ways. The body, cells divided and grows, and thus all over the growth is attained. Respiration. Respiration is necessary for all living organisms. Through the respiration, the different mechanisms for the exchanges of gases, which is a part of the respiration process. Examples: earthworms breathe through their skin, and fishes have gills for using oxygen dissolved in water. In humans, we respire by breathing in oxygen, breathe out the carbon dioxide. Let us discuss about response to stimulus. Children, changes in our surroundings that make us respond to them are called as stimuli. All living beings are react to changes in their surroundings. For example, in response to increased temperature in summer, we use coolers to cool our homes. Excretion. All living things take food. Not all the food that is eaten is really used. Only a part of it is utilized by the body. Unused and remaining food becomes waste and need to be excreted. Our body also produces some waste like urea in other process. Living organisms get rid all of this waste material, and the process is known as excretion. Reproduction. All living organisms gives rise to a new organisms of their own kind by a process called as reproduction. The mode of reproduction may be different in different animals and plants. Some animals produce their young ones through the eggs. Some animals they give birth directly to the young ones. Plants produce seeds which germinated into a new baby plant. Some plants also reproduce through the parts other than seeds.